All right, hello YouTube. So in this video today, I'm going to be talking about my experience with the adaptive cruise control. That is part of the Maverick. I think it's part of the luxury package, so I'm pretty sure you can get it on the XLTs as well. But yeah. Basically, with adaptive cruise control, I've been using this 2,444 miles. I was pretty much using the adaptive cruise control the entire time because I was on highways the entire time. And so, yeah. Let me talk about my experiences with it. So I really love it. Let's just first off say that it was my top 10 thing I liked in my top 10 like video. So I do really love it. There's some improvements that can be made with it, that's for sure. Really, I wish they could include the more autonomous feature that's included in like the F-150 Lightning out there, or the F-150s, I believe have them as well, as like the Blues Cruise. I wish, we had that, but adaptive cruise control is like the baby step to that, I guess. But even with that, it is such a helpful feature. It's like cruise control on steroids. So basically, you turn the adaptive cruise control on. First, you got to get the I forget what that's called, but first you got to turn on this button here. Okay, that's gonna pop up your lane centering image there, and it's also gonna appear, this little symbol appear in the top showing that I believe that's lane centering. So but yeah, it's going to turn that on. So without it, that's what it looks like. With it, that's what it looks like. So you want that on. After you've got that on, you can set your detection thing. So I have mine fully to max. So that just sets like how far the car is going to, the vehicle is going to detect another vehicle in front of you. So if it needs to slow you down, like it needs to apply the brakes and slow you down, so that you don't hit that car in front of you. That's what that is for. And you can set the distance level with that. So if I do it, you can see the bars being taken away. So otherwise you can leave it at full. I've left it at full the entire time. It does like slow you down way back. So it actually, if you're on like a highway, a vehicle can move in between you and that other vehicle. Like it literally creates an entire vehicle's worth of distance between you and the other vehicle. But hey, safety first. But just know, if you do have it on max, other vehicles next to you in the right lane, if you're in the left lane or right lane, they're gonna try to cut in between you and that other vehicle, and there's nothing you can do about it, because even though your cruise control is set at a higher speed level, it is going to constantly match. It's going to keep that distance, and it's going to match that vehicle in front of you's speed. And so until you take off the cruise or anything like that, you can't accelerate to close that gap at all. You're kind of just stuck at that distance behind. So that's one thing I figured out. Whoop, I hit my menu button. Another thing I figured out, getting ahead of myself, but with that on, all you have to do is set your cruise here. So you set it at whatever speed you're going. You can do resume. You can then lower your speed or increase your speed after you've set it. But once you've set it, it's going to do everything for you. So, and then as long as you have the lane centering on, which are highlighted by these two kind of gray bars you see on the side there, they work exactly like bumpers do at a bowling alley. That's kind of what I found the comparison to. It's kind of like bumpers at a bowling alley. If you're getting too close to one of the lines on the road, then it's going to turn yellow, and then it's going to turn red. I think it might vibrate the wheel a little bit. That's basically it. So that's what lane centering is. A lot of people, they told me at the dealership, a lot of people just take it off because they don't want to keep going to the edge and getting buzzed by their wheel and whatnot. I don't mind it. I actually like it. I like the visual representation of knowing if I'm close to the line or not, and it also does try to pull you back in. So I think that's why people take it off, is because if you get close to a line, your car wheel, your vehicle's wheel is going to try to, like, it's going to take control and it's going to steer you away from that line. And a lot of people just don't like their vehicle telling them what to do, I guess. But it doesn't bother me because I don't actually reach those lines very often. And when I do, I'm like, thanks car. I'm glad you're looking out for me. So, but with the adaptive cruise control, you just set that and it will go. So here's the things I like about it. It is very convenient if you're on highways, if you're going long distances, if you have long stretches of straight road, it's really good for that. It can go around curves up to a certain speed. So if you're on a road, if you're on a highway that has very tight winding curves, I would only use that function and remain like autonomous with it. Take your hands off the wheel. I would only take your hands off the wheel and let the car drive around those turns at a speed of 60 to 75. Anywhere past 75, it's a little iffy. You're just going too fast, and the vehicle can only turn itself and handle that velocity pressure to a certain point. So if you're over 75 and it's too tight of a turn, the vehicle is going to start turning itself, but there's only so much pressure it can hold, and then it's just going to go over the line, and you're going to go off the road into the other lane, and it's going to be a mess. You have to really assist it and help it out on those at those speeds on those turns. So that's one thing I noticed. If you're on a highway and you know your trip's going to provide, fairly straight roads, like I said, it can do some turning. There were a lot of turns, a lot of curves where I was going 80, 85 and it turned me and I stayed in the center of the lane and I went completely around that curve. But it has to be a very moderate curve. It can't be, tight turning or anything like that at all. So that's one thing I really noticed with it over the time that I used it. But otherwise, at least 90% of those 2,444 miles were spent with adaptive cruise control on, and my vehicle just driving itself with me just literally giving it a quick little boop boop every 15 seconds. My knees are tall enough, my legs are tall enough that I can actually hit the wheel with my knees. So a lot of times I just have my phone in front of me. I'd have both hands on my phone and I'd be going like 75, 80 miles an hour, and the 15 seconds would expire and it'd display its little notice on the dash, tell me to put two hands on the wheel, and I'd literally just go boop boop with my knee like that real quick, and the vehicle would be like, "Oh, thank you, sir," and it'd take its message away and it'd just continue driving itself. So yeah, there's a lot of cheats to it. I don't recommend doing that all the time if you're on those highways or straight roads, because you still could get into an accident very easy taking your eyes off the road for that long. But yeah, there were lots of times where I just give it a bump. And even when I wasn't doing anything on my phone though, dude, like I always took my hands off the wheel. Like I just give it a quick shake, take my hands back off, I'd look out the windows, I'd get my phone on, I'd take some photos and stuff like that. And the wheel would just, be in front of me doing this little thing all by itself. And it's just so cool, man. I just love it. Technology these days, it's getting crazy. But yeah, that's kind of my rundown of how adaptive cruise control works on here. It's actually surprisingly well. I haven't seen too many videos of people really talking about that. adaptive cruise has been something that's been out for quite a while now. It's not like something, you know, Ford invented just for the Maverick or anything like that. It's on every dealer, every brand, you know, manufacturer and all that. They're doing it. Every company's, you know, got it in their vehicles, but like, it's my first time using it, and so I thought I'd just make a video about it. It's really, really cool. This is from somebody that's never used it before, so and I used it a lot, and I continue to plan on doing so because it's just so convenient. But yeah, works really well, keeps you in the center of the lane really, really well. It kind of works like a bowling ball going down with bumpers on it. The vehicle doesn't actually just keep you in the center of the lane. It has to know like where the lines are constantly. So if you have your lines, say your lines are here, your vehicle's in the center, it's going to go left until it hits that line. Once it hits that line, it's going to recognize the lines there. Then it's going to kind of go right. It's going to hit the right line. Then it's going to, you know, figure out that line's there. And so that's kind of how it cruises automatically on its own. But yeah, there are I noticed that it's constantly, it's like a blind dog trying to find, you know, where the walls are at, where the hallway walls are at to walk down a hallway. Like, you know, it's going to go left, it's going to go right. It's continuously making sure that, you know, it's driving you down the road, whichever way the road is running. So that's kind of how it works. But yeah, it's got to find those lines, and if the lines aren't there, then it's not going to do that. So that actually leads me to I'll say one more thing on this. That's where I had issues with adaptive cruise, and really the only issues I had with it, other than the high speeds and having it being able to turn, to help, I had to assist it with those tight turns. But the main thing is where adaptive cruise will really not work is if the roads around your town or wherever your destination is going, if the lines ever disappear. Like they're getting better with it, but there's still a lot of highway exits out there and entrances that don't have lines painted on them. It's just the line breaks and then follows the exit ramp instead of following the highway road. In instances like that, the Maverick is going to lose visibility of the line, and it's going to turn adaptive cruise off until you're back in two distinctive lines. It can find those two lines, and then it will automatically, the system will go green, and when it's green, you know that the vehicle is autopiloting itself. So you just got to watch out for those exit breaks, like where the line disappears. When that happens, I would recommend just taking control of the wheel. As soon as you get past that break and you get back into two lines, it's going to automatically go green for you, and then you can take your hand off the wheel again. So it's just a slight inconvenience. Not every time does it do that. Sometimes it does stay connected, and then you'll get to the next two lines, it'll stay connected and it's all fine. But the main experience I had from it was that you would go through the break and it would actually disconnect you right when you got past the break. So I think it's like a 5-second delay basically. Basically, if it can't sense two lines within like 5 seconds, it's going to disconnect. Even if you do get back into two lines, it's just going to basically read that there weren't any lines. It's going to tell you that it was canceled, and then it's going to refine the lines again, and then you're all good. So it's just a minor inconvenience, but nothing to do with the vehicle. It's just trying to keep you safe. More so out there, you know, every place just needs to start getting lines painted between those breaks. Some highways are doing it now. There are a lot of spots where what they're doing is they're not just painting a full line in between the exit ramp. What they're doing is they're doing dashes. and the vehicle will still sense those dashes. It'll sense it as a full line. It'll keep you in the center, and you're all good. So as long as the exit or entrance ramp has dashes, you're all good, and it will keep you in the center, and you're fine. But if there's no dashes, no line or anything like that at all, it's going to break, it's going to cancel it, and you're kind of failed there. Other spots where it failed is just where the lines need to be repainted. So too many lines out there on decaying roads have faded paint, and those roads, it's not going to pick it up. Sometimes it will pick it up, sometimes it won't. But if the paint is faded in any sort of way, the camera is just not good enough, I guess, to be able to read that there are lines there. Like, my eyes could visibly see there's a white line, you know, a yellow line and a white line, or two white lines, whatever it may be. I could see there were lines. They're just a bit spotty throughout the paint. You know, the paint was very spotty and kind of worn away, but I could see it perfectly fine. But for whatever reason, the Maverick just wouldn't pick it up, and therefore the system wouldn't go green, and it wouldn't autopilot itself. And then all of a sudden it would pick it up, and then all of a sudden it would lose track of it again, and it would cancel. So it was just very intermittent, to the point where it was just kind of like, this is ridiculous. Why do I have this on? But you know, it is what it is. So but otherwise, as long as, like, most highway, if you're, that wasn't really on like a highway, that was kind of more of a side kind of road. It wasn't like an interstate or anything like that. Interstates and like super big highways and things like that, they are all really good about having their paint updated and everything like that, so you'll have no problems on interstates and highways and things like that. But just be careful with the kind of the side roads, you know, especially like country roads and things like that. The paint can get very spotty in certain areas, and then if that happens, then you just got to remember to take control of the wheel. Which, like I said, anytime you're having this adaptive cruise control on, just be safe. Always have your hands ready to grab it in case something does go wrong. But it is very easy to get comfortable with it. It's a very safe feature. So there are going to be a lot of times where you just kind of like, you know, and then it's going to alert you, and you just do a little shake, and then you're all good. But, you know, just always be ready to grab it for whatever reason. But I used it in pitch black night time didn't affect it whatsoever, so that's why I don't really get why I can't sense the faded paint too well. But even at night it was completely fine. It read it knew where the lines were and everything 100% of the time, just like it did during the day. There was no difference between night and day in terms of the camera being able to detect the lines on the road. So that's another awesome plus to the functionality of it as well. So I think that is pretty much it. That is kind of explaining what the adaptive cruise control is like, without actually showing you. I'll make another video. I'll get a video going later of how it's actually performing and get a live feed of it. But just wanting to tell you guys my experience on it. That was my overall experience. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video and find this intuitive. Let me know in the comments what else you'd like to see. Otherwise, lots of videos still coming, and please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you. Bye.